My father was a tennis player. My mother was a nationally ranked bridge player. My brothers and sisters were both athletes. As a family, we're very athletic. I transferred to Indiana University my sophomore year, and I tried out for the women's tennis team. Made the team because the coach thought that I was nice when I lost. The USTA invited 2 players from every women's college to participate in their Women's National Collegiate Tennis Championships up in Kalamazoo. I went up there by myself with my Indiana University outfit, my 2 tennis rackets and my 1 pair of sneakers. I drew Candy Reynolds. She was ranked 13th in the draw, and I was the 2nd person selected. She asked me, "So how's your tournament record, Buffy?" And I said, "This is the first tournament I've ever played in my life." And at that point in time, I think she knew that I was just fodder. So we went out on the court at 12 o'clock, and we got off the court at 12:15, and that included 5 minutes of warm-up. I graduated a little bit early. I wanted to get into sports, and Women's Sports Magazine was out at that time, and it was started by Billie Jean King. And they had listed all of the women's athletic directors and their addresses. Well, I wrote those all down and sent them all a letter and said, "I'd like to be your sports information director." And they all said no. The basic comment was, "I hope you find what you're looking for." My father then suggested that I look at business. Wilson Sporting Goods was located in Chicago, and said, "How about looking for a job at Wilson?" Business? I don't want to go into business. I want to go into sports. I was then overseas for Wilson, and IMG approached me about working with them to work on some of their players, etc. And I persisted in making sure, "Are you sure that this is not a secretarial job?" And they assured me that I would have my own office and that I would be an executive. And good thing I became the first woman agent for IMG. My husband and I were married, and we came back from Italy. And I approached Korn Ferry to be kind of their executive recruiter for sports. They had recruited Peter Ueberroth for the 1984 Olympics, and he was Man of the Year. And so I thought, gee, maybe this company would like to start a sports practice. And I sent my resume, and I sent some press clippings. I got some form letter back from the Cleveland office that said, "If we find something that fits you, we'll contact you." I didn't want a form letter. So I called up Dick Ferry's office, and I said, "If you're going to turn me down, I would like Mr. Ferry to turn me down," which led to a job offer with Korn Ferry. I had recruited Don Sterling, who was the son of Scotty Sterling, general manager of the New York Knicks, out of NBA properties. And Don suggested, after I took him out of that job, "Why don't you just call David and see whether you could replace me?" So I picked up the phone. I was at Korn Ferry, and I was thinking, I'm going to really start building my sports practice. And I called up David Stern, and I said, "I'm Buffy Filippell. I'm with Korn Ferry, and I'm the person that took Don Sterling out of your office." And at that moment, there was a barrage of words coming out of his mouth, and then he hung up the phone. And I remember feeling, oh my gosh, I have just blown it. I was sitting in my house getting a phone call and answering the phone, and it was a fellow who had this racquetball going on in the background. And he said, "My name is Bob Stein. I am the son-in-law of one of the owners of the new NBA franchise that's starting up in Minneapolis. And we just spent $32 million, and we need to find people to be able to generate the money back." And I said, "How did you hear about me?" And he said, "David Stern had recommended you, and he said you were some gutsy broad out of Cleveland."
I think that you can see that the energy from her professional life spills over into her personal life. Mm-hmm. She's a very devoted wife and mother, staying very involved in her son Davis's academic and athletic activities. as well as being very encouraging. Her husband Mark's recently authored book. She's a very devoted daughter, very loving and compassionate, and wanted to recognize her role in that as well, because it's very difficult to juggle so many things and be so successful at so many things.
Teamwork Online got started down at the Houston Texans. It was called the Houston NFL 32 team. And in essence, what we were doing is we announced a new NFL franchise, which attracted an amazing amount of interest. Well, the code was open code. It was a PHP format. And somebody wrote to us and said, I could see the 300 candidates that you have in this database. I was baffled. Now what do I do? How do you build a website, or how do you build a database program? And I was taking my son over to a swim meet over at Notre Dame College. I was screaming at the top of my lungs and suddenly realizing I had become the tennis parent. I had become the soccer mom, or I'd become something I didn't want to be. And with that, because he couldn't even hear me anyway with his cap and what have you, I ended up going over to Heinen's. In one of the aisles, I passed a fella that I knew and I recognized. And my decision was, in that split second, was to say my name and to say hello to him. And I said, hello. And he said, I'm Peter Tuttle, and I used to work with you at Korn Ferry. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I just built Career Board. And I said, my goodness, I have a concern. I need to rewrite a code for a recruiting system, an online recruiting system for sports. And he said that the programmers that made his program were a mile away from me.
I met Buffy about 10 years ago when I was a junior developer at a web firm up in Cleveland. She came in armed with a whole bunch of papers and a whole bunch of drawings and an idea that she had put together working with the folks down in Houston, and wanted to flesh it out, wanted to make it a little bit bigger, wanted to make it a little bit more scalable, and that's pretty much how it got started, and we've been working together ever since.
It's been exciting to see the impact she's had on the professional sports world, specifically how they recruit and hire their staff and their people. And it's been fun to watch how she's evolved her business model to react to the electronic era.
She wants to help these people get into the industry, because having a job in the industry is what they're dreaming about doing. And the fact that they're not just widgets in a database and numbers on a spreadsheet, that she's really emailing them directly and talking with them and helping them grow, I think that's a testimonial to why she deserves this award. Because at the end of the day, you know, business needs to make money, but for her, it's really more about the elevation of the whole industry.
I worked for Buffy very early on in my career. It must have been about 96 and 97. And she had a tremendous influence on me and my career that sticks with me still today. You know, the first thing Buffy taught me was hard work. I still, to this day, don't know if I've found anybody with more passion, energy, and willingness to get after it and work hard than Buffy. And she laid a great foundation with me in that area that I think has stuck with me throughout my years in my career.
Buffy, congratulations on winning the inaugural Cleveland Wise Woman of the Year award. It's much deserved. And when I think about the impact that you have had on the sport industry, Teamwork Online really has taken the mystery out of how to find a job in sports and has become a staple of the industry.
I just want to congratulate you on really seeing an opportunity, seeing a need, creating a business and creating a culture that truly was more inclusive, that really helped come alongside people and help link them with right fit hiring and opportunities for their professional growth and development.
And Buffy, I want to thank you for all you've done for me. You've meant a lot to me in my career, and I'm really happy to see you being recognized.
Good is the enemy of great. It's a mantra that has made you what you are. Congratulations for your award, for recognizing the great things you've done. I'm humbled to be a part of the event.
most of all, thank you for showing us that there is an ethical way to do business. And to do it with great pride, with great conviction, and great principles and standards. So I'm so delighted that you're getting this recognition. It's absolutely deserved. Thank you, my friend, and best wishes always.
Congratulations on a very well-deserved recognition, and to thank you for the privilege of being your friend and inviting me here today to witness this. And congratulations, Buffy. Great job.
Congratulations, Buffy. You absolutely deserve this award. I'm looking forward to seeing you get it, and I'm also, maybe more than anything else, looking forward to seeing what happens with the next 10 years.